Let's return now to our top story, the review into the Reserve Bank. And joining me for his thoughts is lead partner for Deloitte Access Economics, Pradeep. Pradeep, what did you make of the review? Do you think they've hit the mark?
Well, Kieran, it's welcome to see this review, and congratulations for the Treasurer being brave enough to have a root and branch review of the Reserve Bank for the first time. The reviewers who've done an outstanding job, and also the Governor of the Reserve Bank in how he's participated and conducted himself through this review. This is a really important review for the country. The Central Bank, Reserve Bank, is a key economic institution of the country. These should be reviewed so that best practice can be put in place, and that we can, at the end of the day, have the best decisions for the economy, for business, for consumers, and for our society.
What do you want to see on that monetary policy board? So it's going to be separate from the governance of the RBA. It's got its own board, and then the monetary focus will be entirely on that issue of setting monetary policy. Who do you want to see around that table?
Kieran, this has been a big debate. Do you have specialists who think about the economy and monetary policy in particular, or do you have a broader group of people? And the answer kind of lies in the kind of work they do. So the calibre of the people who are on this, the quality of the work, and the culture in which they do this work. What we want ideally to see here is people who understand the economy, understand labour markets, and understand the sorts of instruments that central banks have to deploy to meet the objectives. And these objectives are now really clear for the Reserve Bank coming from the review. Price stability, full employment, and together, the welfare and prosperity of the Australian people. So that's really clear. So you need people with expertise, but importantly, you've got to make sure that there is enough diversity on that group so that you can have a good debate, because these decisions about interest rates really matter.
Yeah, well, and I know from speaking to our friend and regular on this program, Warren Hogan, he thinks that the RBA aren't going hard enough. You think that they've gone too far and that they should have paused a couple of months ago. So it just shows you economists can have very different opinions when it comes to the outlook for monetary policy. Do you think that giving equal weight to full employment alongside inflation will make the RBA inherently more cautious because they've got to weigh that up at an equal level, the impact on workers and jobs?
Actually, Kieran, full employment has always been in the charter of our central bank, alongside inflation, or price stability as it's put. This is now being put forward to legislate full employment as part of the objective of the Reserve Bank alongside price stability, but it's always been there. And I think central banks have always taken this account, because monetary policy works by understanding the way the economy functions and, importantly, how the labour market also responds. So I think central banks around the world, including our RBA, have always taken these things into account, but it's good to see full employment up there legislated with price stability.
Now, when it comes to the issue of the public transparency, the accountability, do you think it's good that there'll be a news conference after every decision made, and that they're going to also publish the vote outcomes as to how many on the board voted to change or abstain or keep things as they are?
Kieran, explanations and communication from the central bank about the state of the economy now, its decisions, and what it sees as the implications going forward is really important. You know, business needs stability and certainty, and that comes from clear communication from the central bank. And that applies equally to people who have mortgages. I think we will all benefit from this transparency. I think seeing where the vote is can be a good thing. I'm glad that it's not attributed to any individual on the board, because then they can be lobbied and it becomes too difficult. But it's good to see the weight of a decision of the central bank, whether it was a line ball decision or a unanimous decision. That tells us about how the board collectively would be thinking about the state of the economy and the monetary policy decision.
Pradeep, finally, today we've seen the Australian Automobile Association with its latest car sales figures. Very interesting development today. It reveals that electric vehicle sales have overtaken petrol-driven cars in the medium-sized category for the first time, according to the Automobile Association. Is the shift on here away from petrol to EVs, given that seems like quite a moment in our automobile sector?
Kieran, one of the biggest structural challenges of the economy is how you deal with climate change. Transport is about a fifth of the emissions in the economy, road transport, the bulk of that. And so in order to meet our climate and economic objectives, getting more people into electric vehicles has been critical. We've had a very slow start. It's good to see that take up now. But what's really important to make sure that this is credible over time is that we have the infrastructure in place and that over time the circular economy around transport gets embedded. This is really important because this is the key to dealing with one of the biggest economic issues the country faces.
Pradeep Phillip from Deloitte Access Economics, thanks.
Good to be with you.